people you were speaking about that are not that used to using the mics and talking, but anyway. I hope everybody can hear me. And thanks for having me here. I'm delighted to come down to talk to you today. I'm from, as Marion said, I'm from the IE Domain Registry. So we're the company that operate the .ie domain space. And the focus of my talk today is just about design for growth and how you can use design to grow your business. But first, just a little bit about ourselves, who we are really, and our structure, our company structure, and what we do essentially at the registry. So, like I said, we're the National Registry for the country code top-level domains. That's the official country code for Ireland, which is .ie. We're an independent, not-for-profit. We would have been a spin-out of UCD in the year 2000. So we originated actually in UCD in 1991, and that was on a voluntary basis there until it obviously became too busy, and then it was spun into a not-for-profit organisation in the year 2000. And we've been that not-for-profit organisation since. And in a nutshell, I suppose what we provide is the .ie domain name. So that's all domain names that end in .ie originate with ourselves. And we administer and manage that and provide registry services, which would be the services to support that, the DNS service that keeps that domain space up there. And that's our core. So they're our core business, or our core business function. But also, as a not-for-profit, we have a broader remit, and that's to be a digital advocate for the SME community. And we do that through a number of different ways. We have some programs. Optimize is one of those programs. I'm not actually going to talk about that today. There's lots of information actually on our website about that. So I'd advise you to actually just look at our website and see if there's supports there that can help you as an SME. What I am going to talk about today, though, is some of the fact-based research that we do. We provide two key reports that we provide every year are the Digital Health Index and our Domain Profile Report. And I'll actually speak about the Digital Health Index in the main presentation. And the other thing is that we're fully committed to providing excellence in customer experience. And we do this through our innovation and improvements, mainly in our registration services department. And this year, or I should say last year, in 2018, we had some changes to that. And that's what I'm going to talk about really today. So the last two items really on this list. So yeah, so that's the agenda there. So we're talking about our customer experience and improving the process. And then I'm going to talk about content creation and the redesign of our Digital Health Index. So it's kind of a presentation of two parts really, but it's both about design that grew our business, and you might see something in here that you can think about for your own business. So nothing like a definition to start off things. And this is from HubSpot. These guys are experts in inbound marketing. So their business is all about getting people to your brand. And then of course when people arrive at your brand, you need to make sure that your brand can offer the best customer experience possible so that customers will stay with your brand, and it becomes profitable for you to have those customers there. I suppose one of the things to just bear in mind as well, I suppose the essence of what they're saying here really is that customer experience is the combination of all the touch points. So it's from the very beginning of an interaction that a company will have with you, right through to the very last moment. So it's not just one or two items along the way. And also, sometimes it gets a little bit confused with customer service. And customer service is really just one subset of the customer experience. In fact, there's a train of thought that if your customer experience is really good, that customer service is less required really. I suppose traditionally customer service would have been dealing with complaints and difficulties people would have had with your brand, so if the experience is really good, you probably find that you use that less and less. For us, customer experience is really putting the customer at the centre of everything we do. So every time we look at making a change to how we do our registrations, we look at building that around the customer. And I think this is vitally important, and I think something we all need to be cognizant of, that we need to put the customer first, really. No changes really should be made to suit yourself. It should be made to suit the customer and assist yourself. So what are our issues then? So I suppose as a managed registry, we always require people to have connection to Ireland and identify themselves, and also to provide a claim to the name when they're registering a domain name. And this claim to the name was simply just explaining to us why they wanted a particular domain name, what they were going to use it for, why they felt that they had a claim to it. And it was this part that became really difficult for people to articulate, really. They couldn't really tell us why they wanted a particular domain name. And maybe they were only starting off, so they didn't even have it registered. They hadn't got the full business plan in place, they wanted to save the name, and they couldn't tell us really why they wanted it. So we found, when we looked in the back end of our systems, we found a lot of the abandoned registrations were due to the claim to the name requirement being unfulfilled. So we looked at this, and really it showed very poor customer experience from our part. So this is what we set about changing. And we wondered how we could fix it. It became obvious, actually, that we had tried lots of times to make it more clear, explain why the claim, or what the claim name meant, and people still didn't really get it. So it came to a point where we said that we really could do with removing this requirement altogether, because it didn't really stand any purpose at this stage. It may have meant something 25 years ago when we were starting doing domain registrations, but now the trend was not to be looking for this additional information, and certainly in the context of GDPR as well, it's all extra information that we really didn't need to have. So we had to have a policy change because of the structure of our company, and ultimately we'll be responsible to Comreg, the communicator regulator. We had to have a policy change to change this requirement, and then that policy change would lead to a process change where we could go in and change our systems, and then we would be able to have enhanced automation, digitization of the processes, so everybody would benefit. We knew that if we got to do this, the registrations would be faster and easier, and that of course would feed into the customer experience improvements. Also, if we were going to do big changes like this, we were also looking at introducing some new features which would benefit customers as well. So one document requirement then could be possible. Snap and send from your mobile phone, so registrations could be really easy. And FastPass, which was for an idea for returning customers, that they wouldn't need to provide additional documents or documents at all. They would provide the name that they already had, and then we could fast-pass their new registration through because we'd have details on file about them. Again, designing everything with the customer in mind. So that's what we set about doing. And I suppose, just to make it very clear to everybody, we had to lay out what the requirement was beforehand and what we were trying to change and what it would look like afterwards. So we had lots of different communications. This is just a typical example of some of the communications that we sent out through various different channels. So this just shows here that the claim to the name was the only thing that was being removed. And why this was important as well was that we would retain the integrity of the registry. It would still be a managed registry. We would still require you to have that connection to Ireland and that identity piece. So it would be very safe and secure as it had been previously. Then looking at a flow chart, not to labour the point too much, but because the process for us was quite long, it would have been nearly a year from start to finish from when we decided to change this. When we look at this chart here, we're getting into public consultation. We already had quite a few months before that where we had to get our own board of directors on side, our policy advisory committee, and internal management, obviously. And then we had these steps here, as you can see them there. So public consultation, and then feedback from public consultation, and then system design. So we had to design the systems then, again, because they would have changed. And then we needed preparation time for our registrars as well, because these are the people who sell the domain on our behalf, and they would have to change their systems to be able to match with our systems. And then we laid out an implementation date of early 2018, and it ended up being then March. Well, it's still early, but 21st March was our go-live date. So it worked well, but there was a lot of work involved in getting to this point. And then we had the go-live on 21st March, which was great. So then we had to tell everybody about it. So there's no point in making changes, I suppose, if you don't tell people you're after doing it, and that it is faster and easier, because this was the whole purpose. We set out to make it faster and easier for people to register. So we did lots of communications on social and on our website, through other stakeholders. We got them to put posts on their sites, send out newsletters to different associations that we would deal with. They would send out a newsletter to their membership, talking about the faster and easier. As you can see here, we even did faster and easier in different with different diagrams. Shopping trolley and the rocket, same message, just different imagery. And yeah, we kept, I suppose we banged on about that all year. It was faster and easier because we wanted people to realise that. And you have to tell people time and time again that it is. They don't necessarily believe you the first time around. But anyway, the impact on the numbers told the story. This is the increase that we had last year over the previous year, which was quite frankly phenomenal, really. We had a 29% increase in domain registrations in 2018 over the previous year. We never had growth like that. To put it into context, it's hard to see the little blue bubbles there on the bottom, but 2018, the registrations, so last year, the registrations were 51,000. So this almost 1,000 domains registered per week. And the year previous, we would have 39,000. I think 34 the year before. So we would have had maybe, even in a very, very good year there, maybe 10 to 12 or 14% increase. Last year, 29%. So not only was that great, but it also told us that it was indeed easier to register the domain name because there was less abandoned applications through the system when we looked in the back end. But the other thing we promised, of course, was would it be faster? And yeah, indeed it was. So these are domains registered within one working day, or one business day, and domains within 1 hour. We were always quite good with the business day, so the increase there is 32% faster. But the 1 hour would have always been a difficulty for us with that extra requirement. But the removal of that made those registrations 111% faster within the hour, which is brilliant. So we could stand over the claim then that it's easier and faster to register your domain name. So I suppose some learnings and advice, if I may, on this, I would say check your processes, both your online and offline processes. I'm talking particularly, I suppose, to small businesses in the room. Speak to your customers as well and really listen to them. We ask for honest feedback. We really listened to them. I think sometimes where people aren't, or businesses are inclined to not want to listen to what's been said to them, but we thought it was really important to listen to that. And we conducted mystery shopping exercises as well ourselves to see what it would be like for a customer to purchase the domain, so that was able to identify the friction points along the way. And then I would say act upon your findings and make the changes, because as you can see from our figures, it made a huge difference to our registrations last year. So that's an increased business that we got purely because we changed the process and we had a new design of the process that was in the back end. it's a whole lot easier than looking for additional new business. It's business that was already there that we weren't getting because we're dropping off. So the second part I want to speak about is content, because last year was a big year for us in that regard as well. We changed our content last year, or redesigned it. We have a digital health index, which looks really, it's a research piece that looks at the quantity and quality of digital assets held by SMEs. So do they have a website, do they have apps, do they have analytics, what social channels they have and how well they use them. So we've been looking at that since 2014. We were doing reports twice a year from 2014 on this topic. It was really just to see really how SMEs are interacting in the digital world. But our report really was very heavy, or such as the text heavy, not very engaging. The content was really good, but people just weren't engaging with it. And also after 4 years, which is quite a long time in the digital space, we needed to make it more relevant and move forward with it. So we looked again, similar to the process change, how we could fix this. So obviously the big thing was the design. So we wanted to have more imagery, colour, more pleasing, more engaging, and more digestible for people. We also wanted to increase the sample size of people, of companies that we surveyed, and we wanted to add some additional questions, maybe some additional features into the report as well to bring it right up to date. So from the design perspective, we started off looking at a colour palette. We always had this top 2 greens that we used, but basically just that was all we used. So all our reports were just those 2 greens. So we created a secondary, and a secondary 2, if you don't mind, colour palette here. So we have some of the natural and cool ones in the middle, and then we have a bit more bright and energetic ones down the bottom that we could use. And we were going to use this in the new report, but we're also going to use it right across all our marketing communications. And it would also then have a bit more brand continuity for us, because we'd be using the same colours through everything. So just to show you there, on the left-hand side, this was the original report, the Digital Health Index. We renamed it actually then to the SME Digital Health Index, just so people understood who was aimed or targeted at. The front cover before had just the 2 greens, but then we introduced more of the secondary colours on the new report. It's also, you don't see it here, but it's much more contemporary. The paper is matte, it's a much nicer feel, it just looks more modern than the older report. And we went landscape as well. We thought that was a nicer design for it as well, and again, nicer in the hand, easier to read. And we moved, like I mentioned previously there, from having it twice a year, which the results weren't changing hugely when we were doing it twice a year, and we were only surveying 500 companies at the time. These companies would be SMEs, Irish-based SMEs, and the S in the SMEs, really, 83% of them would be companies that have less than 10 people working for them. Excuse me. So then we moved to an annual report, and the survey base sample size was 1,000. So from this we were able to get richer insights as well than just looking at the 500. So obviously then straight inside, as you'd expect, although we didn't do it very well in the last report, in the new report we had a nice executive summary, and we had the use of icons, which we didn't use before either. So it broke down the key findings as well into nice little consumable pieces. So even if somebody only read the first couple of pages of the report, they got a pretty good understanding of what things were about. On the left there is the original report, which was text and bar charts. We went through a phase of bar charts in this report and pie charts, and in fact sometimes we put both of them in to say the same thing, which wasn't really good. But in the new report, then we have given it that new design flair, new colours, the use of the icons, and the pop-out boxes with the key stats in it. chapter layout as well. We actually reduced the amount of chapters that was in this report from 8 in the original report back down to 5. And we combined some of the chapters really to make it, that made more sense really. And the report in fact reduced down as well in page numbers as well. So it was a smaller report. It moved back down from around 45 pages to 32 or something like that. And each chapter here was different colour as well. We had a lot more space on the page. We didn't have so much text, a lot more imagery on it as well. We also made a conscious decision to speak in plain English because we had a lot of jargon in the original reports, and so it kind of wasn't read as widely as we hoped. So the new report really took the plain English approach, which I think lots of tech companies are doing now as well, try and make it more digestible for people. And that worked really well. We also, even though we had reduced the size of the report, we included a new feature in the report as well, which was digital skills assessment. We didn't have this previously. So this is looking at the skills of the SMEs, what their digital skills were like, because while the report was identifying areas that they were lacking in, we didn't realise what was their skills capability. So we looked at key areas here: communicating, transacting and boosting. So looking at how well they communicated, were the sites transactionable, and were they using any software or analytics to boost their sales online. And then they would have an overall score, A, B, C down the bottom. So there's a whole framework here laid out in the first. I'm not expecting you to be able to read that print, by the way. It's just for demonstration purposes. I have Digital Health Index reports as well here today. So if anybody wants the full report, they can talk to me. I'm in the expo area down the hall, and we have these reports there. An additional feature as well, which isn't in the report but it's downloadable from the website, is fact sheets, regional fact sheets. So we wanted to make the report a not just Dublin-centric report. So we looked at the other provinces as well, and then you can get to compare one province with the other. So it was very much to have it a report for everybody. Recommendations, we actually changed that wording altogether to action points. And the recommendations in the old report on the left were down the back of the report, and I think few people got down as far as that, to be perfectly honest. But we moved them and called them action points, which makes it more kind of immediate. People need to work on it, or these things need to happen. And so we put those up to the front of it. Just after the executive summary and the key findings, we put the action points. And we just put them into 4 pieces as well, so you can see what those action points are. They're clearly called for, and there's a real intent there for what we want to do. So this beautiful slide with all of those press cuttings is actually from September when we launched the report, but it's just to demonstrate the amount of PR that we got around the report. And it was in the national papers, also regional press. It was very widely shared, and it was repurposed as well by a lot of people. So people took some of those pop-out findings, spoke about them, talked about them, explained maybe that in their business they could help with these difficulties people were having. So it really got a conversation going. On the left there as well is the Twitter pieces as well. So we put these out very frequently, connected them back to the main report. So we got lots of engagement on Twitter with these, with the snippets from it. The snippets were really easy to use as well. The graphics, the boxes were really, really good for popping into a social media feed and starting a conversation. So we're really absolutely thrilled with the response we got. And one final thing that we created, which we hadn't done before, was, even though we reduced the size of the report, sometimes people didn't want to pick up a 35-page report to read it. If you met them at a conference or in the expo, they wanted to just have some key findings, small piece. So we made this little takeaway piece, which is an A5, a fold-out. and it has some of those key pieces that are in the big report, but it's just very digestible, small, handy piece to take away, and this has proved really useful for us as well. So, just the impact of the design, really, I suppose bigger readership and requests for hard copies of the report will be the obvious one, but greater engagement on social media as well. Lots of social posts, loads of third-party use of the content as well. And our PR reach was up 12% actually, from 18 to 17, or from 17 to 18. I suppose the biggest thing is the Twitter engagement here, 106% increase in engagements on Twitter because of the new report and the way that it was used. And that's not just by us, that was used by lots of stakeholders, our registrar, our channel as well, and third parties and people we didn't even know about found the report and used it. So again, some learnings and advice. I would say to consider content creation. It's a brilliant business driver really, especially those research pieces or the how-to pieces are great as well. People love those sort of little snippets, 1 to 5, how you do whatever. A brilliant idea for people. Advice blogs, great as well. And email marketing, very underutilised as well. So also if you have then a content piece and you also have a newsletter, you can put in your newsletter and send out that content piece in your newsletter, which is a brilliant low-cost option really for getting your message out there. And what I'd also say, in the absence of having your own content, there's lots of stuff available publicly. Our content has continuously been taken by other people and repurposed and used for their own benefits, which is great. It's exactly what we want. We want to have that conversation. I mean, people will always cite the report where it comes from anyway, or in most circumstances, and then they will wrap it with their own messaging, maybe come along to a training course that we're providing, or we're experts in whatever area. So if you are those sort of experts, you can use these types of reports to get people to come to something you're having, an event you're having, or to get just basically back to your website to see the sort of services that you provide that the report identifies are needed. And engagement on social media, I really have to state this as well, because like I suppose lots of us will just like or retweet something, but if you can engage with it, comment on it and start a conversation, it's brilliant, because it really drove our engagement last year, and that's what I suppose had a big impact in that 106% increase in engagement was engaging with the posts really. So that's all I have to say on the subject of design for growth, and I'm here for the rest of the day as well outside if anybody wants some of those reports. We have lots of information on the website as well, and lots of downloadables too. So please, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to help.